Today's review is going to be a little different, because this is an audio device you wear on your eyes as opposed to in your ears. These are the brand new Soundcore Frames, a pair of Bluetooth glasses that let you listen to music and take phone calls from your sunglasses. We've seen only a handful of other companies take on Bluetooth glasses so far, namely Amazon and Bose, but only to mixed results. Soundcore are now looking to bring their frames to the masses by fixing a lot of the issues the competitors have and undercutting them with the pricing. This in-depth review will cover everything the Soundcore Frames have to offer, and I'll also be explaining why I think these are a much better alternative to the Bose Frames. First of all, before you even make your purchase, you can virtually try on any of the 10 unique frames on offer on Soundcore's website and the app. It's a little janky, such is the limitation of augmented reality, but it does help to give you an idea of how these might look on you before buying. Unlike some of the competitors, you don't need to stress too much about this decision though, because Soundcore have designed the frames in such a way that you won't need to lock yourself into one style. You can easily swap the frames out for others, and I'll show you how this is done. Once you've made your decision though, this is how the frames will be presented to you. So you'll first see your chosen frames. I have here the Tour style glasses, but I'll show you a couple of others too. Each pair of frames comes with a Soundcore branded microfiber cleaning cloth, which is pretty cool. You then have the audio temples. These are the brains of the device, housing the battery, the speakers, and the chipset. You also get a magnetic case, which is lined with a soft felt or suede-like material, and finally the paperwork, along with a magnetic USB charging cable. What's unique about Soundcore's frames is that the audio temples come separately. This means you can swap out the frames, and not just the lenses, to really switch up your style. Often you're stuck with one frame style and can only swap out the lenses, but you can easily swap the frames here using Soundcore's pull and plug quick release system. You simply pull the frames away from the audio temples to detach them, and then click the new frames back into place and you're done. I do wonder how this pin connector will fare over time. It's been fine so far, but I worry that I might bend it. So there are some long-term durability questions that remain here, especially if you're going to be constantly switching up the frames. They come with polarized and blue light filtering lenses, which are all scratch and shatter resistant, but if you wear prescription lenses, then you can get these inserted into the frames too. The audio temples are the part that you don't change, so this piano black finish will be the same for everyone, but it means you can hang on to these and pay only for the extra frames when you want to change up the style. This saves you a lot of money, and it's a clever system. I'd personally like to see a matte option for the audio temples in the future, but that's really just an aesthetics thing, and the frame variety already gives you much more choice than the competitors do. The temples feature touch controls beneath the Soundcore logo, 2 microphones for voice control and calls, proximity sensors for wearing detection, charging pins and magnets for attaching the charging cable, and finally the speakers. Unlike other audio glasses, there are actually 4 speakers in total, 2 on each side, which are placed around the ear to give a more complete and immersive audio experience. Soundcore calls this the Open Surround Audio system, and I'll show you how you can customize this later. The frames are IPX4 water resistant as well, so you'll be fine with any light splashes or rain, and it's nice to have that extra peace of mind. The magnet system makes it very easy to recharge the frames. You simply snap the magnets onto each of the audio temples, and plug the other end into a USB port or a wall charger. I do wish this was a USB-C style connector rather than the older A-type, which is an odd move from a company owned by ANKER, but it's not really a deal breaker. In total, you'll get around 5.5 hours of audio playback depending on the volume, and a 10-minute fast charge can give you an hour and a half of playback. I think that's a pretty reasonable battery life, and should see you through your day's activities. This might be on the lower end for battery life if you compare them to true wireless earbuds, but then you'll likely not need to listen for as long on your glasses as you might a pair of earbuds or headphones. So I think the main point is that the battery life is good enough to not be restrictive, and charging is pretty fast when you need to. What I like most about the audio temples is how Soundcore have managed to keep them so thin. Yes, these are clearly thicker than your average sunglasses, but unlike most of the chunky Bluetooth glasses competitors, the frames are thin enough that you could easily mistake these for a regular pair of glasses. They're not too dissimilar from even my thin reading glasses, and there are plenty of sunglasses with just as thick temples as these, so Soundcore have done a great job with making these look as subtle as possible. You're not obviously wearing a piece of tech, which I think is an issue for a lot of the competitors and has deterred people in the past. So this more sleek and natural looking design goes a long way in helping Bluetooth glasses appeal to the masses, and I'd certainly feel much more comfortable wearing something like this in public. They look and also feel very normal to wear, and they're comfortable enough that you very quickly forget they're any different from other glasses, even though the audio temples are a bit heavier than standard glasses. There's no tight clamping force at the sides of my head, and the frames offer good flexibility to accommodate different head sizes. Obviously comfort may vary depending on the frame style you pick, but they don't feel heavy, and I could happily wear these as my regular daily sunglasses. So how do you use the frames? Well, you simply put them on as normal and they will automatically wake up, playing a gentle tone to let you know they're ready and connected to your device. After taking them off, the frames will power down after a few minutes to save on battery, and you power them back on simply by wearing them. You can also manually power them off if you want to wear them as normal glasses without draining the battery. The wearing detection can be used to automatically pause and play music, and it actually works surprisingly well. It's very fast and responsive, more so than most earbuds in fact, and it's turned out to be one of the best auto pause systems I've ever used. The only thing I would say is that I sometimes needed to push the frames back onto my ears to trigger that initial power on, just because of how the frames sit on my face, I think. Afterwards I could take the frames on and off as normal, and the wearing detection worked perfectly. It's just the initial wake after being powered off that needed some encouragement. This may be different for you depending on your head size and shape, but just bear this in mind if your frames don't power on straight away. Music playback can be controlled with either a double tap or a swipe gesture on the side of the audio temples. I quickly found myself naturally reaching up to the right spot for touch controls, and they were very responsive to my gestures too, which is a big plus. The swipe gesture doesn't pull the frames off your head, and with more space to swipe, I actually found these a bit easier to use than touch controls on earbuds. I think having some kind of haptic feedback or sound would be more reassuring when using the controls, but I understand this may require even thicker audio temples as a consequence. You can personalise what each gesture does in the Soundcore app, including having a different control for swiping forwards as opposed to backwards. You can add in your voice assistant, for example, so you can have voice control for playing music, hearing your notifications, and starting phone calls. But what I found to be even easier than this was the built-in voice control. Simply saying commands like stop playing, raise volume, or next song will instantly trigger the command with no need for a wake word first. This works extremely quickly, and responds with the correct command even if I speak quietly and naturally. There's no need to really enunciate or talk loudly over the music. So this is a super handy feature that's entirely hands-free, and it works great. You can turn off voice control if you're worried about accidentally triggering it, and the same with the wearing detection, but I think both enhance your experience with the frames. Now before we get into the listening experience, I want to quickly mention connectivity. So they automatically enter pairing mode the first time you wear them, but you can repair to another device by holding down the touchpads. They're using the latest Bluetooth 5.2 standard, and have great connection stability even when a fair distance from your device, so you don't need to keep super close by. There's also no latency when watching videos. Now I'm sure most people won't be using their sunglasses to watch videos, but just in case you're using your prescription lenses in these, it might be worth noting that there's no audio lag. For codecs you have SBC and AAC, but I think that's largely irrelevant here. The nuances that the different codecs give you in terms of audio quality just aren't going to factor in for Bluetooth glasses. What's important is the connection stability and possibly the latency, and both are absolutely fine.
I also want to mention that the phone call experience is pretty good, even in louder environments. You're listening now to audio captured directly from the Frames 2 microphones, and they pick up my voice pretty well. It's easy to answer or make phone calls in the first place using the touch or voice controls, and the caller comes through loud and clear from the speakers. You may be able to hear some of the background noise being picked up too, but this is far less than I expected for such a noisy environment, so the frames are doing a decent job of isolating my voice from the passing traffic. You may want to make use of privacy mode, which can be found in the Soundcore app. This reduces sound leakage and slightly lowers the volume to help you maintain privacy on a call when listening to music. And you can hear the difference, but obviously with the speakers open to the environment, you won't have complete privacy.
But let's now get into the listening experience. Obviously you're not going to get the same kind of deep bass or immersive audio as you would from a pair of earbuds or headphones, and anyone expecting this will be disappointed. Your ears are completely open to your surroundings, so the experience is more like if you were just holding a pair of earbuds slightly outside of your ears. The audio here sounds good though, and the frames escape the typical issue of sounding tinny. But I can't tell you that your listening experience will be amazing, and I can't see these replacing my true wireless earbuds anytime soon. I like what Soundcore have done with the 4-speaker system though. Positioning the speakers around the ear does give you a more immersive listening experience than most Bluetooth glasses. The audio is really clear, there's a pretty good soundstage, and the volume can reach very loud levels if you want it to. You should bear in mind that sound leakage is naturally going to be higher with frames. People will likely be able to hear your music if you're in a quiet environment, but you definitely can make use of privacy mode or listening at a quiet volume without disturbing others. And don't forget that these are still sunglasses, so you're going to be wearing these outdoors where you'll more than likely be able to crank up the volume anyway. I think in order to really get frames, to really enjoy them, you need to understand the different approach they're taking. They're not trying to replace your earbuds as your main music device. This is a very different audio experience, and one that I didn't expect I'd become as fond of. It's just quite refreshing to walk along wearing your sunglasses, with your ears open to hear your surroundings, but still be listening hands-free to your music. You just get the sense of freedom and convenience that even earbuds don't necessarily give you. I should also say that where the frames sit on your ears does slightly alter the sound output, so every person will have a different listening experience. But the Soundcore app offers you some customization options for you to optimize this. First of all, turning on Open Surround gives you the most spacious and surround sound-like experience. It offers this sense of a wider soundstage, and I can understand why this is described as a concert-like experience. I've heard something similar with Sony's headphones. But I personally find this makes your audio a little too echoey, so I prefer to keep this turned off. The EQ options are definitely worth checking out though, and I'd recommend both the preset bass booster EQ or using the custom EQ to increase the low-end frequencies, since these are the ones that seem to be lacking with this open speaker design. I think ultimately, the EQ matters far less here than it would for something like earbuds or headphones, but it's still great to have some customization over the sound. Soundcore's frames are available for $199 in the States or $149 in the UK, so for context, that's just getting into the premium end for true wireless earbuds. But I think more useful context is to know that this undercuts a lot of the competitors, and perhaps most importantly, the Bose Frames, which are arguably the biggest name in this space right now. But I think it's clear that Soundcore have learned from Bose's mistakes, and are exploiting their second mover advantage. The major benefit to Soundcore's frames is the pull and plug system, letting you swap out the frame of the glasses as opposed to just the lenses, which gives you much more variety with changing up your style. The main issue I have with the Bose frames is that the temples are very thick and chunky. They're quite obviously Bluetooth glasses, whereas Soundcore offer a more subtle approach that genuinely look like normal glasses. Soundcore's frames are the best looking Bluetooth glasses yet, so when you combine this with the fact that they undercut Bose for pricing, it's hard to make an argument for getting Bose's frames instead. This might be Soundcore's first attempt at a pair of Bluetooth glasses, but so far, I don't really think anyone else has managed to strike the balance between the aesthetics and the audio side of things quite as well as this. Most people probably wouldn't guess that these are Bluetooth glasses at first glance. They look like and are as comfortable as a regular pair of sunglasses, which gives them a huge advantage. I think my final verdict would be that these are the best Bluetooth glasses we've seen yet, so if you want a pair, then these are the ones to get. But also, that they don't fully escape the novelty factor either. And the reason I say that is that I'm not sure they beat a regular pair of sunglasses and some good true wireless earbuds, which you could purchase for less than the $199 asking price. The frames are undeniably cool, and there's an added convenience here that sometimes will make me rather grab these than both a pair of sunglasses and some earbuds. So I think Soundcore's frames are great at what they do. I just also recognise that this is more of a niche market, so it might only be for those who know they want to experience them that the price will be justified. Let me know in the comment section though what you think of Soundcore frames. Do these offer enough to make you pull the trigger on a pair of Bluetooth glasses? If this video was helpful, then please give it a like, and make sure you're subscribed to see more videos like this one. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.